Hello, welcome to Flooring Models Kit Review Time. Today we've got Kitty Hawk's brand new. This is the 148 scale YAK-130. Again, really interesting aircraft. And again, this is that thing with Kitty Hawk. Although history says I don't particularly like their kits, their subject matter is absolutely perfect. And I love everything they do. We're just hoping and praying again, we're going to be looking at this kit and we're seeing a progression in Kitty Hawk's evolution of their sort of manufacturing and things like that. So hopefully we won't have some of the usual issues perhaps we get with them. Anyway, I digress. Down in the box, we've got beautiful box art. Again, this particular aircraft, which is a sort of an advanced trainer light strike aircraft. Again, it's one of those ones. It's Russian. It's got everything going for it. So to be able to have it in a nice 148 scale straight off the bat is absolutely fantastic. So there we go. Very nice box art right on there. One of the selling points for this kit is some of the markings are for them as well. So we've got some very nice ones. So we've got the Bulgarian one, a couple of Russian markings down in there as well. Your kit number for this one is, where's the kit number? Kit number KH80157. Okay, and on the other side we've got another Russian one just down there as well. Alright, so in the box, we can get this to stand up, probably ish. We get stand, there we go. Right, okay, so we have the instruction booklet, which is probably where we'll start. The way over there. Okay, so starting down in here, as we can see, looks like we've got lots of decals down in here as well. We just saw a little bit of a glimpse of those. We've got pilot figures seated and boarding the actual aircraft as well. Sprue layout, as you might expect, pretty much Kitty Hawk's standard way of doing things. Straight in with the seat and with the cockpit, both of those going down in there just like that. In there with the front tub, seats being fitted down into that one, okay, and then it's into the underside as the gear, as we pretty much expect. One nice touch, obviously we've got a lower hull system going down in, which will then join the upper, which is a one-piece upper by the looks of it, which is a very nice touch indeed, okay. There it is being fitted down into there. Intakes going down in there, a little bit of seam line issues probably going to be in there, but it all depends on how much you can see down in amongst everything. Those being fitted onto the pod and then down and in just like that. Okay, and then obviously intake covers, things like that, all those engine nozzle ones being fitted down in there, and it's like a one-piece underside going underneath there as well. So a couple of little lines you'll have to have a look at, see how those go together. Wings being fitted down onto there, forward edge slats being fitted as well, so they'll be posable, which is a nice touch. And then obviously we've got the actual ailerons and the flaps being fitted. Again, totally posable, very nice touch indeed. Gear going together and being put on, gear doors as we might expect. And then usual thing, we'll pop back to this in a minute. We've got the actual colour callouts. Okay, doors, antennas, sensors, things like that being fitted down onto there. We do have a very nice, you can see just down in here, boarding ladder system being fitted in, heads-up display, things like that going on there as well. Pilot figures we said about, you can obviously have one seated in the rear and one climbing up in the ladder, or I suppose you could have the pilot just in the front if you wanted to, vice versa. Okay, we've got the chaff and flare dispensers, looks like they're on pods on the outer wingtips being fitted down onto those going in there. And then we've got a gun pod underneath as well being fitted down on there, and obviously with the weapons fit and loadout, as you can see, you could probably put your fuel tanks on and all your other issues. And then usual thing, we do get a plethora of weapons. So we've got Rs, 73s, 77s. We've got the big KH missiles as well. I'm not sure if it carries all of these, but it'd be interesting to know, okay, especially if it can carry the KH-31. But there we go. According to this, it can. So there we go. I stand corrected. So there we go. That's those. Now, back to the markings, and to be honest, these are a little bit special. So as you can see, we've got that standard sort of Russian one down in here. These are sort of pull-out styles, and I don't obviously want to pull this out, but we've got the green. We've got a very nice red one down in here as well. Okay, so if I do this cleverly, you can see, you get it like that, or we got your green one, just like that again, very nice. And then we've got, a weird way of doing this, okay, you've got the grey one, actually it works quite well this, there we go, if I hold these together, it's almost without doing it. Okay, then we've got a grey, darker grey one on there like that. Okay, and then this one, I must admit, it really struck me, this is in that sort of primer colour. Okay, so as you can see, you've got it down in there as well, and then obviously colour callouts for the missiles right the way through. Really, really interesting one. I must admit, I'm taken with this aircraft. I love the look of it. Okay, so I'm going to grab them out as we go through. Again, big thanks to John for this one. This is his kit. he says. I'm now desperately looking for his knife. Here we go. All right, who's lent me this one for review. He'll be building this one hopefully quite soon, and we can grill him then to see exactly how good it is. All right, so as we can see, we've got your glass work. You've got a centre seam running right down the middle, but it's only on the main frame. It's not actually on the front one, so that's not too bad at all. Okay, I think we can get rid of that with pretty much no problem. There is a little bit of distortion down in the clear parts, but to be honest, it's no worse than anybody else's we've seen of late trying to do these things, so that's not too bad at all. And obviously we've got HUD and navigation lights, things like that, onto the front as well. Let me get this in. There we go. Right, okay, so we'll have a quick look at this one in here. Are these taped? No. So in here, this is actually the, oops, there they go, flying, the crew figures, and I'm just wondering how they are. Looks like they're injection molded. Okay, so you can see very nice details with those. So we've got this guy as well, and we've actually got the one who is seated, looking at his checklist as he goes right the way through. So definitely something quite nice. Again, it's quite nice how Kitty Hawk of doing this thing of, you know, technically, you know, you can have some figures, photo etch, things like that being put into it as we make our way through. Okay, so in Sprue 1, big old sprues on these. Okay, so it's a light bag. Okay, so got some big old gaps amongst this on the sprue, but you can see very, very nice indeed. Okay, so we have got some nice details. Hopefully you'll be able to see in here we have got a nice mixture of raised and recessed details just down in here, so that's actually quite nice indeed. Okay, and on the other side just like that. I'll switch my camera angle here. Okay, so we got those. They're actually quite a nice touch. This back end section here, again, put the camera to lock in. Not too bad. Doesn't look like we've got the usual sort of ejector pin problem. Some of the nice touches though is down in here. You can probably see we've got the cockpit walls. Some nice details into this one. And generally looking around at it, actually I think we could be on to a winner, ladies and gentlemen. We have got a little bit of flash. Occasionally there is some flash on some of the parts. I'm not saying it's perfect, because I'm sure it's not. But actually the ejector pins all seem to be either recessed or pretty much flush, with the exception of the odd one or two just down on here. But actually, if I give you a walk round of the sprue, it doesn't look too bad at all. It does seem to be very nicely detailed. There's a lot of curves and various things going down on here, but actually, that doesn't look too bad at all. Some very nice touches with that. Interesting stuff. Okay, so then we've got the main part itself. Okay, so as you can see, just down on here, big old sprue, some very nice touches as well, and it does look like we're getting finer and finer details on these as well, which is another very nice touch. So generally looking around, as you can see, we've got some very nice touches down on here. You can see nice detailed riveting and everything underneath. I thought it might be a bit more composite, to be honest, than being the old-fashioned rivets, but I don't know the aircraft at all, so if it is, let me know. Okay, and then obviously the back of the beast, you can see here this nice one-pieced upper, so we're not going to have any trouble with wing joints, but lovely amounts of detail all over this one. That's actually really very, very nice indeed. And I must admit, I am sold on this aircraft. It looks lovely, I must admit. It's a really compact, beefy looking aircraft, and generally very nice indeed. We have got the odd little ejector pin here, there and everywhere, but luckily they're quite subtle. This one on the speed brake, obviously it's smack bang in the middle, but chances are you could probably get away with that. No one's going to know, unless you tell them, or they watch a review. But again, nice touches down in here in this wheel well. Again, nicely done. I could be a convert. Right, I'm not going to bother getting this out because we've probably seen sprues of weapons a million times before. We've got a giant generic sprue of weapons, which probably goes into every Kitty Hawk kit. Okay, and then I was wondering about the weight of this kit. That's because we've got two lots. So you've got every type of air-to-air and air-to-ground missile you could ever want, which is great, but that is more than half the kit is taken up with just weapons. So you've got two ways of looking at it. I'm thinking that's great because I now can load it out with whatever I want. or you're thinking you're actually paying a lot of money and in shipping costs as well, because this actually weighs quite a bit, and we were wondering about the weight of this kit because it's quite heavy. That is your reason to it, because you got technically 4 huge sprues of just weapons that chances are you're never going to use. All right, but if you haven't got any, it's great for your set. Okay, so anyway, what we got down in here is another one with the actual various sections on it. Okay, so we're starting to encroach down on here a bit now. So as you can see, very, very nice indeed. Looking good. I'm just looking right over the sprue. Can't really see too many problems with any of that. There's no real flash or anything at all on that sprue. So that's a nice sprue as well. Also, I know, you know, this is the thing where when you handle as much plastic as I've been doing, it is that thing. You tend to get a feel for the sprue. You can tell it's a nicer sprue than perhaps not, just because maybe the sharpness of it, the burring on the edges, just the little things like that. It actually feels a very, very nice sprue. So anyway, running around having a look, we've got the pylons down on there. We've got one of the tanks down in there, fuel tanks, things like that. So we've got some of the smaller details for around the gear. We've got some of the seats, the various things. We've got the compressor and exhaust nozzles, the tyres, instrument panels. Again, because it's all crystal displays, that's not a problem, any of that. So actually very nice. And even the smaller parts, perhaps some of the sprue gates onto the parts were a little bit chunky, but actually I have to say Kitty Hawk seem to be moving along now in the right direction, which is good, because as I said before, I have poked a lot of fun about the company and the quality of their kits and everything else. And I know everybody, if I speak to you guys and we go out into the show circuit, things like that, it's everyone like Kitty Hawk, haha, it's all a joke. It is, but again, it's purely, again, frustration on my part, because I love some of their subject matter, just trying to get it going together. It's like, come on, let's do it, because it's great material. It's just that over time, but they're a developing company, and actually this looking better. We've worked on some of their kits. I just built very recently the little bird, the AH6. That was a dream kit, fell together, no problems at all. So I'm hoping now perhaps Kitty Hawk have turned the corner and moving on nicely. So last up we have the Decals. That's one out. And the photo etch. Okay, so let's have a look at some of the Decals in here. So as you can see, we got some of the Decals, the instruments. They look quite nice, they're quite thin. Good solid colours, no problems there. Got lots of decal sheets. As you can imagine, we've got this, which is the generic one for all the weapons. So yeah, just what you'd expect really. And then down in here we've got, if I can pick this up, there we go. Another one down in here. Again, you can see, not too bad. This might be a little bit of a hassle getting it on for the actual deck cord on the canopy, but yeah, generally I think they're okay. They may be a little bit thick, but good, nice ones. It's nice to see that these aren't solid. Be a pain laying them down, admittedly, but it's not too bad at all. But yeah, good registry. Everything looks to be okay. Can't speak Russian, so I can't vouch for the spelling. Okay, but we do have a very nice sprue with a couple of sets of harnesses. We've got the mirrors and all the little bits you expect. I assume these are sway braces, but you say mirrors, 2 sets of harnesses, absolutely everything. So that's actually very nice indeed. So we can only hope that Kitty Hawk now have turned a corner, and at last I can't see any of the old things that used to be, i.e. mismolds, sprue ejector pins that are almost bursting through the plastic, you know, just general mismolds and stress and those types of things into the kit are always going to cause troubles with it. It's not dripping in release agent either, but actually the sprue feels nicer, as I said before. There's very, very little flash, couple of cleanup parts. All the ejector pins are very nice, either recessed or they're just flush, so that's a very nice start with it as well. And the riveting doesn't look like it's too bad either. It looks pretty much what you'd expect with it. So we can only hope that this goes together an absolute dream, perhaps like some of their latest releases. So there we go, that is the fantastic, and I must admit, I'd want to build it now, YAK-130. This is the Russian 148 scale kit by Kitty Hawk.